Finally, Senate Republicans have released their draft of the plan to overhaul the Affordable Care Act. It was written in secrecy. Even Republicans said, we don't know what the hell's in it. They finally got a chance to read it. It didn't end well.
Inflation does come to the floor. It will present Senate Democrats with another opportunity to do what's right for the American people. They can choose to keep standing by as their failing law continues to collapse and hurt more Americans. But I hope they will join us instead to bring relief to the families who've struggled under Obamacare for far too long. Either way, it's time to act, because Obamacare is a direct attack on the middle class, and American families deserve better than its failing status quo.
The draft Senate bill keeps the basic framework of the Affordable Care Act, but makes major changes. It would repeal the mandate to buy insurance, though it keeps protections for people with pre-existing conditions, supposedly. It creates a new fund to support the individual insurance market, and it keeps the expansion of Medicaid through 2020, but then phases it out. President Trump said the proposed bill would have heart, but signaled it would be open for negotiation, even though McConnell said he hopes to bring the bill to the floor for a vote next week.
We've had some busy schedules, and we have a thing called health care that you may hear is percolating on the outside as we discuss. And I think it's going to come out. Obamacare is a disaster. It's dead, totally dead. And we're putting in a plan today that's going to be negotiated. We'd love to have some Democrat support, but they're obstructionists. They'll never support. We won't get one, no matter how good it is. But we will hopefully get something done, and it'll be something with heart and very meaningful.
Now, disabled demonstrators protested against the bill outside McConnell's office, leading to their removal, along with 43 arrests. Democrats decried the bill for being worse than the House version passed last month.
When the White House passed their health care bill, a bill that President Trump called mean, I thought it wouldn't be possible for the Senate Republicans to conjure up a bill even worse than that one. Unfortunately, that is what they have done.
All right, y'all, joining us via FaceTime from D.C. is Yvette Fontenot, a partner at Avenue Solutions, where she works with healthcare clients on making healthcare affordable. All right, so here's what's interesting. Various organizations, hospital organizations, associations, AARP, they all say this bill is terrible. Are the Republicans listening to anybody?
That's a good question. There have been so many stakeholder groups that have come out in opposition. They're running ads, they're sending letters. As you mentioned, there was the in-person demonstration outside of Senator McConnell's office yesterday, and there's good reason for that. This bill would cause 23 million people to lose their health insurance and takes $1 trillion out of the healthcare system. And that's going to hurt stakeholders and consumers, and people are onto that now. So they're becoming active, more active every day, and if they ignore them at their peril.
So Hollywood has a way of doing this. So whenever there's a bad movie in Hollywood, what they do is they don't screen it to critics because they don't want there to be any reviews. So what they do is they drop it so that way they can make as much money as they can the first week because they know it sucks so bad, nobody wants to go the second week. That's pretty much Republicans in this health care bill. I mean, the people on the health care group that was supposed to actually be writing it, like Senator Mike Lee, he said he didn't know what's in it. You had lobbyists who knew more about what was in the bill than actual U.S. senators. That says a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you have the House voting on a bill before they even have an estimate from the Congressional Budget Office about the impact on coverage and cost, you know that the system has gone wrong here. And I think what's so interesting about this is that for 7 years, Republicans have been saying nothing other than repeal Obamacare. They've had 7 years to come up with a policy, to vet it, to have hearings, to have thought leaders input, to have roundtables. And what they chose to do was wait for, till they're 2 weeks out and draft a bill in secret.
Well, and another thing that really jumps out when you talk about this particular bill here, McConnell wants it passed by the 4th of July, but this is where the people must rise up and put maximum pressure on these senators over the next 10 days before that happens.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what you saw yesterday with the demonstration, mostly of disabled folks outside of Senator McConnell's office, and the reason for that is that nearly half of the benefit payments that Medicaid makes are on behalf of the aged, blind, and disabled. And this is mostly for long-term care services and largely for nursing home services. These are services that these people depend on for life. It's literally a lifeline for them. And I think that people have become aware of the damage that this bill would do, particularly for those folks and for these services, all in the name of giving upper class folks a big tax cut. And it's sunk in, and I think that you'll see more in-person demonstrations as the week goes on.
All right, Ms. Fontenot, we appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go to our panel here. I mean, this thing is, I mean, again, when you look at the bill here, and Angela, I get the whole deal. Okay, you want to repeal and replace. 17% of Americans say this bill is nuts. 34% of Republicans say they like it. I'm just saying somebody might want to pull back and go, this is not the smartest thing we should be doing. Well,
I mean, we're talking about a third of the economy here in terms of health care. And we don't have bipartisan support. Right there, we got a problem. This health care impacts all Americans, their lives, all day long. And we have too many losers in the bill. And the Senate just has got to work together to come up with solutions that are going to have way more winners than losers.
Mary, I don't understand how hard is it to know it's a bad bill when they didn't want other Republicans to know what was in it.
I know, this is amazing. And you see these states that went for Trump, Republican states, Ohio, West Virginia, where the people are so dependent on these Medicaid services.
West
for
Virginia?
The elderly.
Opioids? And they're going to slash that like crazy.
Right. And instead, basically, they should call this a tax cut bill, because that's what's in it. And that's what's so frustrating. And these folks who are really going to be left with nothing, and where their elderly family members are going to go. And they did keep it in secret. And for Mitch McConnell to say, oh, we've had gazillions of hearings, now that's just an insult. It really is. Because, the Democrats, you have to say for their health care bill, they had many, many hearings and chances for amendments. But this is just basically a non-democratic thing. And they just want to basically eliminate and dismantle the Obama legacy. And I think a lot of things that Trump is doing and the Republican Congress is doing, that's what it's about.
What they did, Barbara, by not revealing it, it was to keep the pressure down. This is where, just like I talked about voting, people are going to have to call, write, email, tweet. I mean, I'm talking about flood their offices.
Absolutely.
Not just in D.C., but also their home offices.
That's right.
And say, you bet not vote for this bill.
That's right. Listen, this bill is too ugly to see daylight, right? It was the vampire bill. It was so ugly they had to keep it in night. They had to keep it under, this secrecy, this darkness. And then suddenly, finally, they're trying to bring it. But here's the reality. For the people of this nation, we got to put the stake through his heart. We got to kill this bill. And that means everybody should be dialing 202-224-3121. That's your congressional switchboard. 202-224-3121. That is the congressional switchboard. Call your senator today. Say no on this bill.
And the thing that is important when you begin to break it down, again, when you have the AARP, when you have hospital associations, you have healthcare CEOs who are saying this is bad. I mean, and what also jumps out again by doing this bill in secrecy. At the end of the day, what Mitch McConnell wants to do, he wants to avoid those town hall meetings. He wants to avoid the massive public protests.
He can't.
But I'm sorry, we sent them there.
That's right.
You don't do a bill that impacts 1/6 of the U.S. economy and then go, we're going to leave y'all out of this thing.
And just let people die. I mean, that's the reality is that this will...
For a tax cut.
For a tax cut. For the rich, who have gotten nothing but money for the last decade.
Well, I think
how dare them?
Some folks out there, basically, it's a philosophical difference. Is health care a right, or is it a privilege? And there's some folks who just would like to say, well, you know what? It is not a right for all Americans? So we have to answer that question and make our lawmakers answer that question.
All right.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
He
Unfiltered.
wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.